London rained. The rain-soaked cobblestones of London's streets glistened under the glow of streetlights as Jonathan hurriedly walked down the winding alleys. It was a typical gloomy evening, but something extraordinary was about to happen, a twist of fate that would change his life forever. Jonathan had always been a creature of habit. Every day after work, he would walk the same route, past the same cafes and shops, lost in thought as he navigated through the bustling city. But that evening, as he turned a corner, he found himself face to face with a sight that stopped him in his tracks. Underneath an old, ornate lamppost stood a woman drenched by the rain, her vibrant red umbrella a stark contrast against the gray backdrop. Her eyes were fixed on a vintage map of London, and her expression was a mix of frustration and fascination. Intrigued, Jonathan approached her. "Lost?" he asked, his voice carrying a warmth that matched the glow of the lamppost. The woman looked up, her eyes meeting his, and for a moment, time seemed to slow. Her smile was like a burst of sunlight breaking through the clouds. "I suppose you could say that," she replied, her voice carrying a hint of musicality that enchanted Jonathan. He noticed that the map she held was tattered and old, a piece of history in her hands. "May I?" he asked, extending his hand towards the map. She handed it to him, and as their fingers brushed, a jolt of electricity surged through Jonathan's veins. He examined the map, tracing the lines and streets, feeling like a part of something much larger than himself. "Old map of London, huh?" he mused, finally tearing his gaze from the intricate lines to look at her again. "Yes," she said with a laugh. "I've always been fascinated by the layers of history in this city, but navigating it isn't as easy as I thought." Jonathan grinned. "Well, lucky for you, you've just met a London expert." And just like that, they embarked on an adventure. They wandered the rain-kissed streets, Jonathan pointing out hidden gems and sharing stories about the city's past. With each step, their connection deepened. It was as if they had known each other for a lifetime. Hours passed, and the rain began to let up. They found themselves at a small, quaint cafe tucked away in a charming alley. They sat across from each other, their eyes locked in a conversation that went beyond words. As the night wore on, Jonathan learned that her name was Jessica. She was an artist with a passion for capturing the essence of places through her paintings. Her laughter was contagious, and her stories were a tapestry of wanderlust and creativity. Jessica, in turn, discovered that Jonathan was an architect. His eyes would light up whenever he spoke about the buildings he had designed and the dreams he had for the future. His determination and kindness resonated with her. Eventually, the cafe was ready to close. Reluctantly, they stood up, not wanting the night to end. "I can't believe how special this evening has been," Jessica said, her voice soft and full of genuine emotion. "I feel like I've known you for ages." Jonathan reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "It's strange, isn't it? How sometimes the most unexpected encounters turn out to be the most meaningful." She smiled, her fingers entwined with his. "You're right. This feels like fate." With an unspoken understanding, they walked back to the lamppost where they had met. The rain had ceased, and the streets shimmered as if they were celebrating their union. "So, what happens now?" Jessica asked, a mixture of hope and uncertainty in her eyes. Jonathan took a deep breath, his hand reaching out to touch hers. "How about we navigate this journey together, one street at a time?" Jessica's eyes sparkled, and she nodded. In that moment, beneath the watchful gaze of the lamppost, their love story officially began. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Jonathan and Jessica's connection deepened, growing stronger with every shared adventure and whispered conversation. Their love was a symphony of laughter, dreams, and stolen glances. They explored London's museums and art galleries, losing themselves in the city's cultural riches. They picnicked in lush parks, their laughter carried away by the wind. They strolled along the Thames, watching as boats sailed by and city lights danced on the water's surface. One evening, as they stood on the bank of the River Thames, the setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink. Jonathan turned to Jessica, his heart racing. "Jessica, there's something I've been wanting to ask you," he began, his voice trembling with nervous excitement. She turned to him, her eyes full of anticipation. "From the moment I met you under that lamppost in the rain, my life changed. You've brought joy, adventure, and love into my world, and I can't imagine my life without you. Jessica, will you marry me?" Tears welled up in Jessica's eyes as she looked at Jonathan, her heart overflowing with emotion. "Yes, Jonathan, 1,000 times yes." The sound of their laughter mingled with the gentle lapping of the river, creating a melody that echoed through the city they had fallen in love with. And so, beneath the London rain and the watchful gaze of the lamppost that had brought them together, Jonathan and Jessica's love story continued to unfold, a story of two souls who found each other in the most unexpected of ways, embracing the beauty of every moment and navigating the streets of life together, hand in hand. Good night.